Welcome back to Guardians of Gaia, connecting people and planet. On our episode today, we're talking about water for all, sustaining our supply. South Africa is a water scarce country, meaning that we do not have enough water resources for our long-term needs. Our water-stressed environment is feeling the impact of climate change through droughts and flooding, and so much of it is caused by the significant and maybe even irreversible changes. This is the experience for communities on our coastlines, says Boyisile Mafilika of the Masivindise Development Trust.
They are hardly affected, especially when it comes to the small-scale fisheries. We all know that due to climate change, the weather condition changed, and you will have people who now who are struggling to have fish, because fish now are moving away from the shores or from the shores because of the change in water, and this has an impact because people, they have permits. The permits that they are holding only allow them to fish in certain areas. If, for example, if we are here in Cape Town, you are only allowed to fish within the boundaries of the city of Cape Town municipality. Now you have a situation whereby now fish, the species that you are allowed to catch, they will move from the boundaries of the municipality where you are residing, and then they will just go across to another municipality where you are not allowed to fish. Now you will have a situation whereby so many of these community members are being now arrested for fishing not in an area meant for them to fish, because now they have just moved over the boundaries of the municipalities. And then also, there are so many fishes that are dying. If you take, for an example, we know that KZN is famous or is known of the sardine period. That now is no longer happening on a normal periods. It just now happens at any given time because of the climate change. Now you will find that people are not, they are not there in order for them to catch. So the climate change also has this impact of now where you have people losing out than to have something to put on the table. Thanks.
Now, we've seen that industrial agriculture, mining, and energy production causes environmental degradation, destroying and polluting the land, air, and water. Our oceans are also critical in regulating the climate as they produce oxygen to sustain the marine life that we depend on for food and tourism. Let's watch Lalela Unwandle. It's actually an illustrated story telling the history and impact of forest removals and mining along our coastlines.
All these words they keep using to try and confuse us. GDP, economy, project pakisa, what? What are these words, eh? They speak all the time about valuing things, about giving the ocean value. But whose values are they talking about here? How can you try put a value on something that sustains life? Do you know what this word pakisa means? It means hurry up, shesha. But what good, I ask you, ever comes from rushing? No. The sea is telling us the opposite. It's telling us to slow down.
When I read that this exploration was going ahead, I wondered what my old man, Kana Marimutu, would make of the Petroleum Association of South Africa, PASA's Environmental Impact Assessment Report. He'd call their bullshit out straight away. Seriously, my boy, how you can expect to drill, scrape, and explode more than 4,600 kilometers of our coastline, 60 kilometers from the shore, and expect it not to have any detrimental risks? Yeah, and you know what their defense will be. They'll say all this mining will enrich us all. The poorest of the poor will benefit. But tell me something. Since when you actually saw a poor person benefiting from all those hundreds of years of land-based mining, eh? Hey, who are they trying to bluff here? You know these O's. They think you and I was born yesterday.
We came together to show them that the communities that make up this coastline are not a single group or a voice. We all have special relationships with our mother, Unolwandle, different cultural beliefs and concerns. Our stories must be heard.
Back in the day, it was said there were more fish in the sea than there were grains of sand on the Durban beaches. And it frustrated my father to imagine the kind of abundance his parents once enjoyed. Some days it would get all too much and he'd throw down his rod and kick his chair across the beach. Hey, what's the bloody point of me sitting here waiting for my prodigal to bite when everything's been taken already? First it was the trawlers, now every day it's something new. The government selling our coastline for mining, throwing their waste and shit in the water, thinking us fisherfolk don't notice. But the sea remembers, my boy. It doesn't keep secrets, and in the end it throws everything back at us. And it's suffering now. So we can grab coconuts till our heart's content. We can light campfires and send out artists to the sea, but it doesn't make a difference. And it's not like the gods aren't listening. They're not the ones failing us. Yet the bloody people who are the problem. You know the beach we're sitting on, Niren? Huh? It's called the Bay of Plenty, right? Back in my father's day, that might have been the case, but now we should just write it off as the Bay of Empty.
In the final years of Gogo's life, she had begun to suffer from terrible nightmares. The apartheid government arrived and told our grandparents that they would need to be moved away so they could stabilize the sand dunes. And that when they were finished, we would be moved back to the land. But it was all a lie. There was nothing wrong with our sand dunes. Later, we learned that these companies had bribed the chiefs to keep the truth from us. They had known all along. By the time we had all realized what was happening, the mining trucks were already lined up along our beaches. And with them came the curse of Inkosazana. Traditional healers gathering muti in the forests and rock pools were told by these authorities that they now needed permits to abide by their ancestors' wishes. When they, of course, ignored these rules and continued as they always had in the past, many of them were arrested. Next came those fences, rising all over the place. Fences where they had never been before. How could you tell such a thing to my Gogo? Can you imagine? She refused to listen. She kept going to those rock pools at night when no one could see her. But on one of these evenings, she walked into a fence. A fence that cut her off from her pathways to the sea. Now, if Ugogo wanted to get to the shore, she was told she would now have to travel the mining roads like everyone else. How was she to find the time and money for this? One night, Ugogo, guided by her dreams, arrived at her beach, but was forced to shield her eyes against the brightness of those lights. Where before she had been greeted by the whispers of the ocean, now all she could hear and see were machines rattling into the night and swallowing up her bitches. Ugogo could no longer carry out her life's calling. Without her muti to heal them, the people in the village grew sick. And in the end, the voice which guided Ugogo went silent.
Welcome back. You're watching Guardians of Gaia, connecting people and planet. And on our episode today, we're talking about water for all, sustaining our supply. We've asked the question, what can be done to ensure better governance of water resources?
So what we are saying is, if you as government, you are telling people that you don't have water, but you are giving a permission, or you are approving for Shell to open up mines. We believe that in order for one to operate a mine, you need plenty of water. Where do you get water from the mines, but you don't have water for your own citizens? And then we are saying to the communities, come together. For us, we are here to support them through the means of mobilizing them to come together, through the means of educating them, or just to give them an awareness of the importance of engaging with the departments or whoever. Because the problem sitting with the communities along the coast is that because of the fact that they are not familiar with the laws, with the processes to be followed, the government will always fail them. Now it's up to us, as Masifundi said, as we work with the small-scale fisheries, not only to focus on fishing now, but to take whatever are the challenges facing with these communities in order for us to make sure that at least they take whatever steps, like as we did, engage the officials. Failing to do so, take the matter to court, because we believe that our government, you don't have to go to the streets. You have to follow proper channels. Engage the officials. If they fail to listen to what you are saying to them before destroying the infrastructure, take them to court. Then if they are not going to listen to what the judges are saying, then it's only then that we are saying, look, let's have other means of engaging them. It's either by exposing them internationally, so by signing some petitions.
Government needs to pay attention to the needs of the people, but also listen and work with the people. Create awareness. Budgets must not be cut in creating awareness and educating people in an ongoing basis on solid waste, waste removal, and also meeting people halfway in really removing that waste. That's one part of education and listening. But then again, I think we need to move a step further of working with the communities or these stakeholders that I will mention shortly. People are creative. They have the idea of what is important to them. Then they need spaces in which they can explain what that looks like. But then again, those spaces are closed because councillors are not approachable, or they're not available. I mean, our politics is kind of our politics is decaying because of the lack. These spaces are not created, so we need to create these spaces to allow people to voice out and say what they want.
After the break, we continue our topic, Water for All, Sustaining Our Supply. We look at water management devices and people's rights to water access. That's Guardians of Gaia, connecting people and planet.